September 9th, 2022. Jacksonville officers are conducting a narcotics investigation. They take a subject into custody by the name of Ronnie Reed. They do an initial search on Reed and find nothing, and then they decide to level up the search.
Y'all can't do, bro. Ain't supposed to do.
Huh?
But man, he took my clothes off.
You took your clothes off. You took your
No, not like that, bro. Not like that, man.
That's weird, man.
Not like that.
I went to search your drawers, you started jumping up and down.
No, I told you could take me in the back and you can cuff my nuts.
You can
You wanted to.
I don't want to cuff
You want him to take you in the back?
Man, ease up, man. Don't do that.
Let's loosen up the pants here.
They already loosened, bro. The belt unbuckled, all that shit, man.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't want her to look at your genitals. Let's go over here. All right. Light, somebody?
Hi, man.
Somebody got light? Come on. All right. Nothing's going to go inside of you, all right? But we have to make sure you don't have anything else.
I've been on many of these types of operations and searches. As you're seeing this, you see a somewhat jovial exchange between the subject, Mr. Reed, in custody, and the officers. However, we can't get away from the fact, and I look at this from a sergeant's mindset. If I'm on the scene, this joking and jovial behavior, we still have a person in custody, and what we're doing right now is we're in a Fourth Amendment situation, which is extraordinarily serious. This is protections of a person's right against unreasonable search and seizure. So from the sergeant perspective, what I'm seeing here is we have to be very, very careful that we don't cross over that line.
Please get out the road.
All right. Don't stop doing that.
You don't lean on my car?
Lean forward.
Bro, man, come on,
See,
man.
this is no. Stop. You're gonna lean forward.
Bro.
You're gonna lean forward.
Do this.
Bro, listen, bro. You doing too much.
No, I'm not.
Nope.
You doing too much.
I just told you nothing was gonna be put inside of you, but you gotta let me look.
You can't bend me over like that, bro. I know my rights.
Stop. He's clenching hard. He's got something up there.
I ain't clenching nothing.
Stop.
Put him against the car right there. Please stop.
That's up in his ass, probably. I mean, he's clenched so hard.
Hey, listen. You ain't finna stick your finger in my ass.
No, I'm not. You're right.
Listen, bro.
Yeah, they're gonna do it at the jail.
Okay, cool. Let them do it at the jail, bro, because y'all ain't finna stick your finger up my ass, man.
I just told you I wasn't, but you unclench your asshole and just let it come out. You can just get the one charge now.
They're talking about clenching up his butt while searching his butt. Put yourself in that situation. There's two things that could be happening. One is that Mr. Reed does have drugs there, or that he doesn't. Either way, the subject is gonna wanna clench up their butt. If some grown man who you do not know has you in handcuffs and is telling you to spread open your cheeks on a public street, I know my natural reaction is gonna be to clench up. It's so unnatural, which leads us again to where we have to go back. Is this reasonable on a public street for something like possession of a drug? That's the question.
I'm Detective Wright. Today's date is July 25th, 2023, and the time is 1:10 p.m. Present for this interview is Detective Joel Belgard. The nature of this interview is an allegation of improper action. Detective Belgard, this is your sworn statement affidavit. Have you had the opportunity prior to the start of the interview to review the sworn statement affidavit?
Yes.
Do you understand that anything you say during the interview can be used as a basis for discipline against you, but cannot be used against you in a criminal proceeding?
Yes.
These internal affairs investigations are very serious. I've been on both sides. As a sergeant, I would have to interview my officers if there were allegations made against them. I've been on both sides of these investigations for something as minor as a potential discourtesy complaint or something as serious an officer can be investigated for something like a potential illegal search, like we're looking at here. Either way, it's a very, very tense situation because it's officer and officer, which is not a normal situation for an interview of this degree.
All right. How long have you been employed with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
7 years.
On September 9th of last year, 2022, you were involved in a narcotics buy-bust operation. Do you recall that?
Yes.
At that time, what was your assignment?
We were assisting narcotics. We were assisting with takedowns.
Okay. And during that time, what was your, I guess, permanent assignment with JSO?
At that time, I was assigned to the Zone 1 task force.
Okay. And you said now you're a part of the community response
Yes.
unit. So during that operation, you eventually had made some contact with suspect Ronnie Reed, who was arrested under CCR 22-533445. Do you recall Mr. Reed?
Yes.
How did you become involved with Mr. Reed? I know that you originally were with a different suspect. How did you become involved with the other suspect, Mr. Reed?
Yes. After we finished where we were initially with the initial suspect we were in contact with, he was transported over to the where we were going to collect everybody at the onset of the scene. And that is where I first came in contact with Mr. Reed.
An interesting point about these internal affairs interviews is that the officer is afforded the opportunity to have representation with them. This officer in this case chose not to have representation, and many times officers don't because they want to go in there and say, I'm just going to tell my story. I don't necessarily believe that I did anything wrong, and I don't need representation. I'm not going to say whether you should have representation or not. A lot of times it's a union member, but it's very interesting that this officer chose not to have anyone represent him during the interview.
Did you know Reed had already been searched before you made contact with him?
I knew at that point, I shouldn't say I know, but I kind of assumed, as we all do, that he had been at least searched for or patted down for weapons. Mm-hmm. As the investigation went on, we realized we hadn't recovered those specific funds, the funds used for the transaction between the initial suspect and Mr. Reed. And so I don't believe who was involved in the conversation, but I remember it was discussed, well, Mr. Reed must have the money. It just must be hidden on him somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that's, so I just believed he hadn't been searched for the funds.
And this was a separate, because I know funds were
yes.
Retrieved from
the initial
suspect. So this was a different set of funds.
This was the funds we recovered at the first time were what one of the undercover detectives gave to him just prior to the takedown. Mm-hmm. That wasn't for the actual deal in which a different detective had observed.
The narcotics purchase occurred, and Reed supposedly had those funds, or it was assumed that Reed had those funds. And then I guess another narcotic sale was supposed to happen, but then a takedown signal was given.
Yes.
So the original suspect still had those funds on him.
Yes, the funds from the first transaction.
Okay. A conversation was had, and the purpose of this search was to figure out where the funds were from the first transaction.
Right. Funds and or narcotics, just
right.
because Mr. Reed didn't have any narcotics on him when we came in contact with him either.
Okay.
And we, believing he completed a narcotics transaction, we believe he would have had narcotics as well.
For clarity, if I'm sitting in on this interview with the officer, I noticed that there are two different units. There's the narcotics unit, and the other officer that's being interviewed here is part of another unit that was responsible for the takedown. So sometimes in those situations, the communication is not great. But here is the crux of this investigation. Was this a mistake of the head or a mistake of the heart? A mistake of the head is that you messed up because you just didn't know. That doesn't absolve you from being disciplined. Or was it a mistake of the heart? Did I intentionally do a bad search or do this search to humiliate this person because in my heart, I intended to do malice? It doesn't matter in the legal sense, not necessarily, but it gets to the crux of where this officer's mindset was when it occurred.
But you said you don't recall who made the decision that he needed to be searched. You just had the understanding that
it needed to happen. Right, that's correct. It was, everybody kind of got together and we were like, well, we haven't found the money. He did the transaction. He must still have it. And I was like, I've made the decision myself. Okay, well, let's search him then.
Mm-hmm. The search that was captured by your body camera, what would you classify that search as?
Going back to what I originally, at that time, in my mind, I believed a strip search was having someone take off their clothing, like completely removing it. Mm-hmm. I did not understand that merely manipulating or arranging, as state statute and our orders say, I was not aware that constituted a strip search. At the time, I would not have called it a strip search. Looking back, after looking at orders and state statute, I would call that a strip search.
Here, the officer is clearly saying, had I looked and known the statute, I would have known that what I was doing was a strip search. Again, it doesn't absolve him because ignorance is just like in the law. That's not an excuse to not do what you're supposed to do. The other basic standard that we should see is it reasonable to pull the man's pants down and spread his butt cheeks apart in public if you're looking for drugs? Because here's the thing. Every search, initially, you should start off saying, this is potentially could be illegal, but how does it not illegal? Well, there's three very simple ones right off the top. If a person consents to the search, then the search is likely going to be good. The second is if there's probable cause in a search warrant. And if in that case you have a search warrant, then the search, if the judge signs off on it, it's likely going to be good. And here's the third one. It's called exigent circumstances, which means I have a real need and a reason right this second to spread this man's butt cheeks apart, go up in there and get the drugs. almost gives me chills to think about there's no exigency on that circumstance. Let me give you one where there could be exigency, where you might want to have to pull someone's butt cheeks apart in public. That could be a situation where they have a detonator that's going to blow up a bomb somewhere, and if you don't get it out, the person's going to be able to reach around there and pull it out and blow it up. It's very challenging to figure out the exigency in that circumstance of having to, in the street, go up inside of his butt cheeks to find narcotics or money or whatever other thing that they were looking for.
Can we agree that, or would you agree that you've rearranged his clothing?
I did, yes.
But when you did that, the purpose was to, you said you were looking for narcotics because someone had just sold someone else narcotics. That got to a narcotics detective.
Correct.
And it was believed that he possibly still had narcotics concealed on him.
Correct. And he was, if I know one of the other individuals interviewed mentioned, though, it was pretty, and I didn't, as far as I'm aware, I don't have any contact with Mr. Reed before this incident, but it appeared that he was clenching his body. He was holding his muscles tight, and it appeared that, and not holding it in his anus, but holding it in an area where he didn't want us to get, which is why he was trying to hold his legs and buttocks tight. And that's another reason why we believed he had some sort of contraband hidden on his body.
Holding your butt tight when a strange man is pulling your butt, that to me seems almost the natural response. Also, I've had people, they would call it keistering, keister dope in their butt, and they would hide it, but the jail normally are the people that end up recovering that. But I'm seeing the officer's interview here, he doesn't seem like he's attempting to be deceptive. He says that he read the statute and now realizes that it was a strip search. But again, for all of us, the best thing to do is say, under the circumstances, is this reasonable?
If you did locate something, what would have been your next step?
We probably, depending on what it was, we would have asked him to remove it. If it was a narcotic or money, if it was a weapon, which at the time he was a larger man. The purpose wasn't for a weapon, but it was plausible to believe there would have been there. We would have removed that, unless it was inside of him at all. We wouldn't remove anything. But we probably would have unhandcuffed him and had him retrieve the property that we could then see.
Watching the body cam, you end up taking him to the other side of the car, but was he visible to anyone that was around?
I don't see how. I know you can hear a female kind of shouting out. I don't know how she, without like climbing on top of a fence or something where she was. I don't know if you're familiar with Westmont. It is a street, however, it's like a house and then just fence on the north side. There was a U-Haul truck that was somehow involved in the investigation somewhat. I think there was narcotics located in it, and like 2 more narcotics blockers, which, as you know, are large vehicles. I don't know how she could have seen past those. And again, I moved him around the corner of the vehicle we were at to preclude her from seeing. So I don't know how she could have. I don't know how she could have seen it. I tried to give him some privacy in doing what we were doing. I don't know how she could have seen it.
All right. Is there any information that is pertinent to this allegation that I have not asked you?
I don't believe so.
Is there anything that you said that you would like to change or clarify on the record before we conclude?
No.
Is everything that you have told me today and in this statement the truth?
Yes.
This interview is concluded at 1:27 p.m.
Some of the court documents in a lawsuit that Mr. Reed filed found that Mr. Reed spent approximately 13 days in jail for this, had about 18 court appearances, and the city of Jacksonville had to pay $275,000. On top of that, officers involved received written reprimands that stay in their file for a period of time, which stops promotions and other things. But again, what does a person like Mr. Reed go through after being exposed in public like that? And I'm not saying that he was not involved in any type of criminal activity. I don't know, but I know that nothing was found on him at the time of the incident. There were no charges filed against him. He was released from jail, and that was the aftermath of this case. If there's a big lesson here, is this reasonable? And under the circumstances, it was found that it was a violation of policy and unreasonable and did not go according to what that police department expectation is of their officers.